God bless you.
Good day to you.
I'm Henry, Miller Crazel's new apprentice. He sent me to search for a niter pit, and said you might be able to help me with that.
Of course I will. I'm Bonnie. Nice to meet you.
Bonnie? It's not a name I hear often.
It's not the name I was baptized with. In our craft, it ain't a good idea to tell people your real name. That's why we use nicknames. What should we call you?
The Wolf of Skalitz.
Well, that's not very creative. You know what? I'll come up with a nickname for you myself when I get to know you better. Did you bring me something from the mill?
Actually, Crazel said you'd appreciate some herbs.
He's right there. Do you have some for me?
I've got something here.
My word, that's exactly what I need. The ingredients for the magic ritual.
What kind of magic ritual?
The kind where Zenek finally gets some sense into his head and stops making stupid beginner's mistakes. Just so you know, that mess with the author of Hermes Trismegistos would never have happened to me. Not me. While we're on the subject of rituals, did Crazel tell you about the golem?
He did.
And what do you think of it?
I'm curious to see what a golem made of flour will look like, but I'm mostly curious to see if Crazel will really be able to breathe life into it with the help of saltpetre.
I'm more worried that as soon as it comes to life, it'll slay us all with one blow. So, if by some chance it looks like something's going wrong, you won't see my heels for dust. And I suggest you do the same. But that's enough of that. We're not going to stand here talking about flower golems when we've barely just met. I'd like to chat with you too, Henry. Get to know you a bit. But if you're in a hurry to find Crazel's saltpetre, I won't keep you.
No. I have plenty of time. But where to start?
You know what? I'll start. When they caught Zenek in Troskovitz, I was scared out of my mind that they'd catch me and clap me in the stocks. I had to hide out here for a while, so I haven't had anyone to talk to. Life in the lair isn't all fun and games. Zenek and all the other mill knuckleheads were never worth much as company. So I'm glad the miller's finally found a normal hand for once. You've got a beautiful dog. What's his name?
Mutt.
What a cute fella. How did you find each other?
He belonged to this girl I knew, Teresa. She saved my life in my hometown, Skalitz, when I went to bury my parents.
Well, That's what I call an interesting past. I used to have a dog, but I don't anymore.
He died.
He started getting these lumps all over his body. He stopped eating, just slept all the time. And then, well, what's done is done. And what about you? What kind of family are you from? Also, thieves?
No. Pa was a blacksmith. I inherited something from him, I hope.
Oh, really? Would you teach me how to make, maybe, barrel hoops?
Those are pretty hard. Wouldn't you rather start with, maybe nails?
Sure. I'm pretty quick to learn and patient. That is, with one exception. When Crazel starts spouting off his alchemy theories, I'd rather run for the hills. What do you think of the old miller, anyway?
He seems awfully mystical. He has lots of experience, like as if he's lived for hundreds of years.
It's his beard that does that. Don't let it fool you. Thanks for talking to me. It really is good to have someone to pour my heart out to. But now, about that saltpeter. Before you came, and before Zenek fucked up with the manuscript, we collected saltpeter all over the place, mainly in sties. It has to be scraped from the walls. Horrible work, time-consuming and annoying. I'm not going to lie to you. We also looked in a few chests, just in case. You know. Anyhow, now all the sties in the region are scraped clean and we're sitting pretty on a nice barrel of saltpeter.
Barrel is quite a lot.
For the whole Trotsky region, aye. Unfortunately, Krazel said we need at least 6 times as much.
6 times? Will one saltpeter pit be enough?
I reckon so. There should be as much as Krazel needs for his masterwork. If you're looking for it, you ought to know how saltpeter forms. Do you have any idea?
No, I don't. And Krazel, of course, didn't tell me shit.
Don't forget that saltpeter crystals are formed in places where something is rotting. It can be shit or carcasses. Well, a saltpeter pit is actually nothing more than a mass grave. The best natural saltpeter maker.
Krazel said saltpeter is a vessel for life energy. I get it that it's left over from dead bodies, but how do you get it from shit?
God's mysterious ways. You know how it is.
And he also wanted me to taste it. That's nonsense, though, isn't it?
Unfortunately, it isn't. Otherwise, you won't know if it's saltpeter or some other shit. It feels kind of cold on the tongue.
Jesus. And you know where to look for such a pit full of carcasses, do you?
Not exactly, but I have an idea. Times are evil and there's plenty of corpses. A person who's digging holes and throwing dead bodies into them and doesn't even know he's got a a saltpeter mine.
You mean a knacker?
Exactly. And the one we have here in the region is also the Gravedigger.
Well, I haven't met him yet. Where can I find him?
The cemetery is beyond Troskovitz, towards the Apollonia rocks.
So I'm in for a walk to the cemetery.
Seems like it. Too bad you couldn't have walked around the county with us before. It was fun, and pretty useful experience. I learned a lot during that time, and I won't keep it to myself. I'd be happy to teach you something, if you want.
I'll keep that in mind.
That old gravedigger will be suspicious, so I'd bring him some kind of offering. He's always dragging those carcasses, so I'm sure he'd appreciate a slab of fresh meat from Troskovitz butcher.
Good idea.
He lives a short way from the cemetery, so at least the meat won't go bad on the way. Lots of luck, the Wolf of Skalitz.
Why do you work for the miller?
Because he pays well, and don't care how much coin I make on the side.
You mean by stealing?
And he doesn't ask any stupid questions.
What did you do before?
I got by any way I could. Believe it or not, I started in a convent.
You? A nun? Well, why not? I was in the cloisters myself for a while.
Oh well, different people have different fates. But we all ended up here anyway, in the armpit of the world.
What do you think about Krazel?
You're another one of those that don't know if they should love him or hate him, eh? Krazel is his own man. Once you learn to get along with him, you can't help but admire him a bit. But sometimes he's unbearable as soon as he opens his mouth.
What do you know about the Troskovitz Gravedigger?
He's a pretty tough old bird. He follows the rule, I'll treat you the way you treat me. And he appreciates when a fella's direct and open. But I probably wouldn't tell him everything about us.
So, Bonnie, the most honest girl I know, sent me. I'd like to see some dead animals as models for painting a church fresco. A scene from the apocalypse.
That might be a bit much, but you learn fast.
How was the saltpeter collection and tasting again? Sounds pretty disgusting.
It wasn't so bad. Zenek kept whining about it, but being a saltpeter collector, it has its benefits. When you go and clean someone's sty, they don't pay much attention to you and leave their purses and chests unattended. We made a pretty decent amount on the side.
What, by stealing?
Confiscating property for the greater glory of God. I hate the term stealing.
Just like Crazel. Tell me something more about Zinek.
He's Andy, that's for sure. But also a bit of a fool. To be honest, I don't care for Crazel's horseshit most of the time either. I do this job because it's fun, unlike Zinek. He does everything for his own good, doesn't give a damn about any greater cause or other people. Actually, he really pisses me off with his attitude. And he entertains himself by coming up with the stupidest nicknames for me. Dunger, for instance. What kind of a bloody awful name is Dunger?
Oh, lovely. And what does he call himself?
Scruffy. Or Jan, Nicholas, Franz, Peter, Jakub. The most bland, everyday names. He tries to be careful, but then he opens his big mouth and fucks it all up, just like in Troskowitz.
What is this lair place?
Crazel built a store so all them honest, curious people in the mill, the likes of Hensel, wouldn't have to worry their little heads about what we're doing here.
You mean behind that boarded-up door in the cliff?
We're definitely not doing anything there right now, because of the mess in there. I told Zinek to clean it up. I think he wants to see if the place will get so rotten that saltpetre will bloom on the walls.
I've trapped the world over. Let me tell you, Arthur truly is the most...
What do you think of Crazel?
Is this some kind of test or what?
of your hometown.
I can think what I want and I keep my opinion to myself. And you ought to do the same.
The cows moo as if they were singing.
Why do you work for the miller?
Well, how can I put it? Anywhere else they'd have kicked me out by now. The miller's the last person who'd still give me a job. He says every idiot is of some use at least.
And you see that as a compliment?
I see a coin in my hand every week. That's all I care about.
What did you do before you started working for the miller?
A bit of this, a bit of that. When I was still a boy, I stirred lye at a tannery, and then I slaved away at a dye house. But since I came to the town, it's been, well, let's say not exactly honest work. That's what I'm best at, see?
Wait, that's my Pebbles, my girl. I thought they killed you down by that pond.
Greetings. Do you need something?
That grey horse you have grazing here is mine.
What do you mean, yours? I bought it fair and square. I admit, it was only for a few groschen from some suspicious lad who found it down by the Rock Tower Pond, but that horse is not branded, so it belongs to me now.
Look, you know they attacked an entourage by that pond, right?
I heard about it. That news spread through the land like wildfire.
And the one who sold it to you told you he found it by the pond, right?
Well, he did, aye.
So it's not entirely impossible she belonged to me.
Maybe not impossible, but I paid for her.
Aye, but just a few groschen. You said so yourself. Wouldn't you rather be in the good graces of someone who might have been part of that expedition?
Maybe so. All right, I'll give her to you. But you owe me one. Go and get her then. If she remembers you, she might even come when you whistle for her. You're gonna miss that one. What is it? Are you whistling just for
God
fun?
bless you.
The Lord be with you. What do you need?
I'm Henry. And you must be the local gravedigger, right?
Ignatius, master of the sod, at your service. Looking for a final resting place, are you? Or do you need to bury a dead goat?
I'm more interested in the grave-digging profession as a whole.
Ah, once you try it, you'll never want to do nothing else till the day you die.
You got a big cemetery here. Pretty nice, too.
Ain't it? But being the gravedigger, I'll never have a place of my own here. They'll throw me by the wall like a dog and bury me without ceremony. But when I'm dead, I won't care. If it was up to me, I'd even bury the suicides in hallowed ground. We're all equal before death and the Lord. This game of better and worse places of final rest don't count for nothing.
What's the story with the dead people?
The story? They're dead. What more is there to tell?
But you said there's been a lot of people dying around here recently, right?
Well, it ain't usual for people to get offed by the cartload out here in the sticks, if you ask me. What do you reckon?
I don't know. Hadn't really thought about it that way.
That might be the reason, then, hey?
What?
Look, I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just saying there's a lot of people dying. If things keep up like this, I'll be out of work in no time. There'll be no one left to bury.
Being a gravedigger must be a lonely job, eh? What are your duties?
Funny a young lad like you is so interested in grave digging. Not something you see every day.
Well, I'm only asking. No real reason.
That figures. Youngsters these days wouldn't know hard work if it bit 'em on the arse. It's no wonder I can't find any help.
Are you offering me a job?
No. I'm giving you a warning. You ain't cut out for this trade.
And how do you know that?
You've got that look. I can spot it a mile away.
Could you be more specific?
You just aren't cut out for it, and that's that. A gravedigger needs passion. A sense of duty ain't enough. It's a service, a labour of love, and the meaning of life all in one, lad.
But seriously, Ignatius, tell me about yourself.
Gravedigger, knacker, snorter's constant companion, and lover of colourful sunsets, all in one man.
You've nearly got more titles than the Emperor himself.
Well, I have been doing it for almost 40 years now. The bailiff pays me well, in coin and sometimes in goods.
Sounds appealing.
Not all that glitters is gold, lad. A gravedigger's got it hard, and so does a knacker. I pick up dead animals on the side of the road. That's the knacker's job. You could say, I have a knack for it. That's why people say I'm unclean. If I had children, they wouldn't be allowed to marry anyone besides an executioner or a gravedigger. It's so ingrained in folk. A fella takes care of things they wouldn't want to handle themselves, and this is how they repay him. Can't even go to the tavern no more.
Have you been a gravedigger your whole life? Have you ever thought of changing your trade?
I did think about it once, if I'm honest. I wanted to be a knacker in Yitchin, but some fool with friends in high places got the job, though he can't even tell a shovel from a spade. That really pissed me off, so I said, fuck it. Why would I want to dig graves for people who don't appreciate my craft?
So you've always been here otherwise?
And what of it? Do you think I get bored here? Not recently, I don't. But I think I told you that already.
I'm not from these parts, and I've seen a few conciliation crosses around here. What do they mean?
The same as where you come from, I reckon. They mark spots where the sins of man came to be regretted later.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
Aye, like when a fella buries an axe in someone's head over something stupid and then comes to regret it. Or if the law sees to it that he regrets it. The sinner then has to erect a conciliation cross to mark the site of his evil deed.
Where does he get the cross from?
Where do you think? From me.
You're in charge of that too? Stone cutting?
I know how to cut a cross out of stone. And what of it? With the soft sandstone around here, it's child's play.
So they're all your work?
I wish. I've only sold 2 or 3 recently. Most of these here are right old. You might find a few stories about them in the village chronicle what's kept at the rat house. All I know is a young fellow once jumped off the cliffs near Takoff, and folks say the place is cursed.
Do you know any more stories?
Aye, I do, but I'm not telling you any. I'm not an old fishwife.
Unfortunately, I had to bury both my parents recently.
My condolences, lad.
Thank you. I just don't know if it was done right.
Did you witness their deaths?
Unfortunately. They were killed in front of my eyes.
Oh, I understand that's never easy. But if you closed their eyes and buried them in consecrated ground, you've nothing to worry about.
I dug their grave next to our smithy. We didn't have a church in our village.
Well, that can't be avoided sometimes. Don't let it bother you. As long as you picked the spot with good intentions, that's all that matters. I'm certain their souls went straight to heaven. You needn't worry. You did everything right, lad.
Ignatius, I'm going to need your help.
Of course. How many are there? Where do you want to bury them? Shall we grind the teeth up, or do you want to take them away in your purse?
None of that. I have a different, slightly unusual request. Bonnie from Lower Semine sent me. We're looking for a saltpetre pit.
From Lower Semine? What pit?
A saltpetre pit.
I ain't never heard of nothing like that. What's it supposed to be? A pit to hell?
Nah, it's actually just a pit full of carcasses. These white crystals form on the walls of it. And that's exactly what we're after.
Ah, now I get it. You should have said you're looking for the pit I throw carcasses into. What's all this about salty Peter? I'm going to go there anyway, so I'll take you there.
Really? That was easier than I thought.
Not even a chicken scratches in the dirt without hope of reward, though. You'll help me with something first. I have some collections from some Slatigo farmsteads, and I'd be a fool if I didn't use a helping hand. At least one day I can take it a bit easy.
You want me to help you with your grave-digging business?
Why not? You look like a strong fella. You'll be a good helper.
Oh, dragging carcasses around isn't exactly a respectable job. But so be it. I'll help you with it. What else can I do?
Grave digging is a job like any other. Sooner or later, everyone needs our services. And if it wasn't for us knackers, folk would have to deal with their animal carcasses themselves.
Of course, I understand. I'm just a little worried about what people will say about me when they see me with you. I wouldn't like to lose the honour I've earned as squire to a nobleman.
Don't worry about what people say. They'll only strip you of your honour if you let them. So what then? Shall we take a nice little ride with my boys Snorter and Dragonfly here? Nice and early, at daybreak.
Let's get this over with then.
Didn't you understand me? We ain't going nowhere now. Like I said, be here at daybreak. That's between night and day. Do you understand?
I understand. I'll come at dawn. I don't know if I'm completely ready for this, but let's get going.
The dew is still on the leaves. The roads are clear. You don't need your horse. I'll stable him here. It'll be heaven for him. In any case, heaven's always close here. Hop on the wagon and Snorter and Dragonfly here will take care of us. Did I bring that stuff for Visor? Meat? Bane? Aesop? Got it all. Good. Come on then, get a move on. We've got a long journey ahead of us, so get yourself comfortable so your arse won't hurt. So, you say you're from Lower Samine, eh?
Well, not exactly. I'm not even from this region. I'm only doing some work for the miller.
I remember Crazel when he was still a wee lad. Even then he was a great big smart-ass. When I buried his parents, he was traipsing somewhere through the world. Maybe you heard what they say about Lower Samine round these parts. Crazel don't sell short measure, not that. He looks out for his reputation, but his helpers have been seen often in the villages after dark, looking fishy. Or during the day, in the pillories. Don't that bunny of yours belong to that gang too?
Unfortunately, she does. Crazel ordered Bonnie and her accomplice Zinek to scrape saltpetre off the walls of the sties. And when they had a chance to loiter about in the yards here in the region, well, they made good use of the opportunity to line their purses.
Ay, ay, ay. What have I gotten myself into in my twilight years? Lower Samine's a thorn in the side for a lot of folk. Some on account of the competition. Some is just rubbed up the wrong way by that Crazel. Either way, all they need's the slightest excuse to grab their pitchforks, go and grab the miller and shove his face right in his own millstone. Whoa, boys, whoa! What's going on here? Come on. Come on! Are you deaf? Oh, they're acting stubborn again. Now listen, Henry. Here on the left side, you'll see the ruins of a cottage that's been abandoned for a few years.
It looks mysterious. What treasures might be hidden there?
You'll soon see. I have a trap set inside the cottage. I wanted to lure a wolf into it, but that didn't work out. There's a deer rotting there unnecessarily. So hop in there and bring it to the wagon. Finally, at least we're not blocking the road too much.
Oh, Jesus, what a stench. Better quickly throw it in a sack and take it back to the wagon.
No idea what you're on about, fella.
I want to talk to you.
I'm coming.
Move it.
What's going on, Ignatius?
Ah, I'm trying to explain to these fellas we've got nothing to do with no thieving around here. They should go to Lower Samine to complain.
Two stinking pieces of shit was sneaking around our sties and cellars and lining their purses with silver too while they was at it. Some scruffy and dunger. You must be scruffy, eh?
I'm Henry, and those, names mean nothing to me.
Like I said, if it's rotten carrion they're after, they should have come to me. A passion for knacking is the only thing we have in common.
Is that so? So prove it then.
Take a good look at me. Do I look like a thief? Or more like a commonplace, maybe just slightly grubby, hired hand? At this rate, you could blame any old peasant who's grimy after a hard day's work.
I don't know. I don't reckon I've ever seen a real thief up close.
Ask around about me and you'll find out everyone knows I can't stand a liar. I'll keep my promises and show up on time. So enough talk and let's carry on to where duty calls us.
All right, listen. We'll be going then. But if you happen to run into them two thieves, you tell us right away. Got it?
Of course.
You can count on it.
Glad to hear it. Let's go, fellas. Maybe... Did I get this right? Maybe it was the one with that shape.
Suppose we can carry on then, eh?
Don't forget that carcass. After all that, we can't leave without it.
Yeah, you're right. Just a moment. I'll toss it on the wagon.
Want to keep going or not?
Not much left for us to do here, eh?
Hopefully our luck will hold out, and we'll only be breaking the limbs of carcasses today. The next farm's just up ahead. Hop on, and let's go. Don't worry. That was just a kind of little favor for me. Now we'll help the locals here in Jdar with their carcasses.
So far, I've just carried sacks. I already did that for the miller.
Yesterday, the good wife from that farm came and told me both their pigs died. So we'll scoop them up and haul them off. I mean, you'll scoop them up and haul them to my cart. She says it was a curse. There was a flash of lightning, the pigs started trembling, squealing and puking, and then keeled over and dropped dead.
All right, that's what you get. People sin here in their seclusion, thinking they're out of sight of our Lord.
It ain't my first day doing this job, so I could see right off them pigs had been poisoned. The good wife swore them pigs were happy as, well, pigs in shit. She said they even let them go to a nearby stream to have a wallow. It flows here through the forest on the right. Since we're here, you ought to go and take a look around there. Check how clear that spring really is.
All right, I'll see what's going on there.
And I'm going to enjoy having a helper. At least for one day. Maybe I'll roll around in the grass here with Snorter and Dragonfly. Lazy bones. But it's hard to say from what. But we may just find that out from Henry here. And as far as Vizar is concerned, I'm headed there next. I have the stuff with me.
But make sure you take care of it, yeah? I can't bear it much longer.
You ain't the only one. It's been bothering the Nabokov folks too. That'll all be over today.
God reward you for it.
God don't reward me much. But I'll probably get something from the bailiff for hauling.
Well, I wish you and your helper lots of luck today. May God bless you.
You too. You too.
Those pigs came here to drink. Where to now? I can smell something upstream. It really wasn't a curse. There are rotting carcasses in the water upstream from the watering spot. No wonder the pigs caught some disease.
Well, what do you know? I was right. I'll give you a hand. It'd take you all night on your own.
I'd rather go back to sacks of flour.
Do you want to keep going or not?
I took care of the carcasses. We can drive on.
Nice work. There's even a bit of meat left for me.
Yeah, you'd eat that. They've been lying there God knows how long.
But nicely in the cold. There's nothing wrong with it. Anyway, you won't be eating it, so don't worry about it. Let's keep going. So far it ain't that bad, eh? You don't have to take down no hanged man or bury an unbaptized child.
Ever since I started working for the miller, all I do is carry bloody sacks. I must have carried more than they could fill in skallets in a day.
It can always be worse. Someone might ask you to roll barrels. Now listen to me closely. You won't be carrying anything at the next farmstead. Instead, you'll have to make one carcass there. See, the work of a knacker ain't just about clearing away dead animals. Now and then you've got to put down some creature so it don't suffer. Or, like today, to put it down so everyone around it don't have to suffer. In this case, we're talking about a dog.
Well, what can I do? But I doubt I'll feel good about it.
That cur belongs to the Greengrocer, Vizar. I've heard they're both pretty fierce. Don't draw too much attention to yourself at the farmstead. I'll give you some Aesop potion to drink first, and some meat and bane. Soak the meat with the poison and throw it to the dog. He'll probably be locked in a pen somewhere. As soon as it's done, we'll disappear before anyone notices anything. I got paid well for it from the neighbors, so don't fuck it up for me. Lazy bones. Vizar, my friend!
What do you want, Ignatius?
We were picking up some carcasses near Jdar, so I thought I'd stop by. How are you getting on?
Everyone's getting on my fucking nerves these days.
Nothing's changed then, eh? Glad to hear it. There's been bandits roaming these parts, but it seems fine enough.
Sakra! Dog isn't here. The door's open. Where did he run off to?
Henry, how come you're here?
Bonnie? What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
First, tell me what you're doing here. And how come you're with that beast?
He's no beast. I came here to save him.
You mean steal him?
For him, it'll be a redemption from that horse and master of his. I'll take care of him, in place of my poor dead sniffer.
Bonnie... The Gravedigger sent me to kill the dog. He's been paid to do it by the people whose livestock that beast killed. It's the last thing I need to do before he shows me the pit.
It's not the animal's fault. When Zenek and I were here last, I saw how old Vizaric treats him. He doesn't give him food, he abuses him. With a master like that, he won't last long. You wouldn't kill a dumb creature just because its master is a sick horseman, would you?
Well, you don't have to convince me. Ever since the Gravedigger told me to do it, I've been trying to figure out how to save that dog. If you want to take him, I won't stop you.
You're a much better Christian than I thought you were. I'll take him to the lair. We'll meet there.
Hurry off now. before someone sees us together.
Come on now, boy. You'll like it in the lair.
It's taken care of.
Taken care of? What do you mean?
I set the dog free. He didn't deserve to die.
For fuck's sake, didn't deserve to die? We were supposed to get rid of him, because that's just what he deserves.
Bonnie from the mill came and took the dog before we got to him.
Well, fuck me. How much more is that girl going to steal before she has enough?
Oh, she'll take better care of him than Baysar did. All he needs is to be fed properly, and he won't be dangerous anymore.
I surely fucking hope not. Because if he runs off and ravages something or someone again, then we didn't help at all. Let's go before we start looking suspicious.
So this is it. This is the pit.
Slowly, boy, slowly. Have a bit of respect. Death always deserves respect, whether it's people or animals.
I was expecting some huge hole in the ground. This is just some hollow. 3 piles of earth and that's it.
3 huge piles, you mean to say? True, it used to be one big pit. But then I found out when you pile up carcasses in smaller pits and throw some wet hay between them, it all rots better. And the better it rots, the more nitre you'll have. Are you going to take some right away?
I won't. The miller will probably send some people here.
Well, they'd better not dig it all up. That'd disturb the natural balance, see? And soon they'll find out there's no place to find saltpetre.
Well, I reckon I'm delaying the inevitable. I'll still have to taste it.
You're going to taste it?
It's the only way I can be certain it really is saltpetre.
God's nails. And they say I'm disgusting. Wait a moment. I've got a reward for you. Just so's you don't think old Ignatius and his even older nags is ungrateful riffraff. Take it as a thanks for your help. Maybe you'll take over my trade one day when I'm pushing up daisies myself.
Who knows? Maybe that'll really be my fate. I'll live at the cemetery, build piles of carcasses, and eat bread with saltpetre.
Here's something that'll definitely come in handy if you ever need to go through all this again. Either with me or somewhere else.
Thanks.
You didn't have to make such a feast of it.
Look at me. I'm a lord's messenger to a taster of cadavers. Cold and salty. This must be it. If you're going back to your cottage, I'd like to take a ride with you.
Of course. But in return, you have to help me get all this lot buried. So there's some more saltpetre in the making.
Greetings to you.
I found the place where we can harvest saltpetre. You just head out of Troskovitz towards Apollonia, carry on alongside the road, then head off it at the right spot. Only it's not a pit, it's 3 piles of earth. The gravedigger Ignatius drove me there himself.
And is it the real stuff? Did you taste it?
Yeah. And I hope I never have to do that again. Ugh. I think the experience has changed me forever.
Oh, come on. You whine more than Zinnik. It's just commonplace salt. I was hoping it'd be closer. To go all the way to Apollonia. If I send 2 wagons, that should be enough.
What should I do?
That means I could mix a barrel and a half.
Crazul, focus. What else do you need from me?
Oh, sorry. What were you asking? About a reward? It's right here.
Thanks. How's it going with the golem?
Well, the whole thing is really appealing to a scholar of my field of interest and important for humanity. But Certain circumstances have emerged which, unfortunately, move its creation somewhere further into the future.
Wait, what do you mean? So there won't be any Gollum?
Not for now.
What about all the niter? The life essence?
I admitted to myself it's maybe too much to take on, and I decided to go back to my roots.
So the search for saltpetre was for nothing?
Not at all. The saltpetre will help us create primordial matter. The origin. Chaos. Materia prima.
God. Here we go again.
As alchemical scholars, we actually have only one task before us. To penetrate the diaphanum and find out where it gets its disposition and power from. Only then will we understand the nature of the shadows.
Eh?
I'll explain it to you.
Tell me then.
What's the next task then, Crazel?
From behind the closed gates of Trotsky come quiet whispers, carried by the wind, all the way here to me in the mill. Do you hear it too?
Can you get to the point? What's this about?
Scribe Erezim received a trunk from Prague, and in that trunk was...
The document of Hermes Trismegistos?
No, a book, and from an author more venerable than Hermes. It's thin, with a sand-colored cover, embossed. Ordinary at first glance, but the treasure's inside. You might say it's kind of an alchemical cookbook.
So I'm gonna have to pick some locks again, eh? And in the castle, no less. I'd like to know how I'm supposed to get in there. Trotsky is shut tight.
For some. The gates of Trotsky may appear to be closed to us, mere mortals. But why try to force your way in when there's a person they'll invite in themselves?
What person?
Hold on, we'll get to that. We've got the Samine wedding coming up. I can't wait to try out my new potion against drunkenness there. What about you? You still need to get there?
Certainly. It's why I decided to work for you. Or have you forgotten? I hope your promise still stands.
Of course it does. What do you take me for? Start getting ready. You've almost got a fine outfit, I see. But it still could be a lot better. Ad charisma tuendum. Say a prayer to St. Paul. Maybe he'll send you a few nice things from heaven.
So you'll really get me into that wedding? Am I dreaming?
No, you're not. But before you start celebrating, we won't be going by ourselves. We'll have company. Or, to be more exact, the two of us will be accompanying a certain person. Me as a friend and host, and you as a bodyguard, loyal servant. Call it what you will.
And who is this mysterious person?
A true lady will come to the wedding with us. Radiant as the morning star, refined as pure gold. All will be stunned by her beauty, and she'll be our lockpick that will find the weak spot in the gate to Trotsky. All it'll take is a little push, and clunk! The lock will open, and the book will be mine.
What weak spot?
The castle's weak spot is Chamberlain Ulrich, because he himself has a weakness for women. Of all the single damsels at the wedding, ours will be the most charming and irresistible for him. Noble or not, he's a mortal man, and he'll start to think with his male member. We will watch as he becomes feverish with lust. Soon he'll be begging to take our companion to Trotsky. He'll pretend his motives are pure, so she'll be more comfortable. And when the Chamberlain becomes insistent, you, as her personal bodyguard, will accept his offer. Naturally, you'll say you won't leave her side so you can defend her honor. Once in Trotsky, Ulrich will do everything to get you to leave him alone with her, and that will be your chance.
It sounds suspiciously easy. What's the catch?
I admit there's a certain element here that makes everything more complicated. First, we have to find our gracious lady.
What?
Look, she doesn't have to be a lady per se. We just need a wench with a pretty face. We'll get her a nice dress, some perfume. She doesn't even have to speak. We'll do the talking.
Could Bonnie do it?
She could. The only hitch is everyone and his dog knows her face. Nobody with any sense would let her into the Sameen wedding.
So some bathhouse wench would do?
Aye, that should work. You can find lots of capable girls at the Jelly-Off baths, including some who aren't so well known. It's true, Dorothy can be a bit unpleasant, but you'll be giving her an offer she can't refuse.
Dorothy owns the bathhouse?
Aye, next to the alehouse there. You'll tell her I'm offering enough groschen to buy 2 cows, or a small cottage. That should soften her up.
All right. I'll take care of it.
Excellent. You're a talented, likable youngster, like Knight Roland of yore. I have complete faith in you. And don't forget, we're going to need to dress the girl up and make her smell nice so she comes across like a real lady. So, stop off at Troskowitz as well and get her a nice brocade dress and some long-lasting perfume. Mintha would be ideal.
Where can I find the dress?
Where do you think? The butcher's? Go and see the tailor. Bartoszek has just the thing in his shop. A beautiful red dress made of Tyrolean brocade.
Why that dress exactly?
Because red is the color of love and passion, and rich Tyrolean brocade is just begging to be touched. Ulrich won't know where to look. The dress is likely to be pretty expensive, but that's no obstacle for you, right?
Where can I find the perfume?
Emmerich the apothecary might have something. They say he makes some perfume for his wife. Or ask Betty the innkeeper. She may be a god-awful battle axe, but a nice-smelling one. Or get hold of the recipe and make your own mintha. As an alchemy apprentice, you should be able to manage.
I'll be going then.
Once you've got everything ready for the wedding, we'll meet in front of the fortress gate. There, I'll let our lady in on some other details of our plan. But that won't be for your ears. Anyway, you'll be rehearsing your speech to Lord von Berghoff then, won't you?
I can't wait.
God bless.